Hey,
Welcome, everybody, to the MLSN Making Law Simple Network and the Nick Starow Trial Watch joint stream, usually, of the
yes.
Jodi Arias trial. Nick is having some internet issues and he wasn't able to link his stream. So, everyone who's usually watching over there and giving him all of my thumbs up, you can just do it to me today. Uh, this is like a historical thing because since we started this at noon Eastern and 6 p.m. my time, we have been every day, every Tuesday and Saturday, we've been streaming this joint. And I'm going to take part of the blame because I didn't send Nick a link right away. And so I was sending it to him like right before we started. And then he was having internet issues. So I don't know what's going on. But unfortunately, Nick isn't going to be able to dual stream. Also, he's recovering. Now, for all of you who need to know or are in the know, I'm in Sweden right now, Nick's homeland. And Nick Baker and I met up on Wednesday. So that was 4 days ago. Um, there might have been shots, there might have been beers. You guys will have to check out the stream if you want more details. Everyone's ragging on me. What I just want to say was I recovered the next morning. Nick is still down. So, what do you want to say about the Vikings liver and tolerance and all that? Nick is still recovering from that night. So you got me instead. And Salvador. Welcome,
Yes.
Salvador,
Thank you.
over there.
Pleasure to be
Welcome,
here.
welcome. And if it sounds a little echoey, I apologize. I am broadcasting from a dungeon or a basement, as you want to call it. But I'm going to put in both headphones, and hopefully that will fix the problem. What are you drinking out of, man?
What? Orange juice container.
But it's not orange juice.
No, it's water.
You have glasses, right?
Yeah, I do, but it's just easier to refrigerate it, and then it keeps my refrigerator cool, so it doesn't have to work as hard.
Okay, so Nick always complains about his internet, but this one was definitely me, so I can get all the thumbs up. But I will tell you that the internet here is not that good. If my picture goes in and out, or if there's any issues, guys, let me know because I've got to stream 3 more times today, and if I need to like do something, if I need to like hard plug myself in or something, let's see what we can do if it has to happen.
Can you like lower your resolution?
No, I mean I could,
Okay,
yeah,
I mean that
obviously, but
might
it's
help.
not so much of that.
Okay.
Like the upload and the download speed are great numbers. They're better than I have at home,
Oh,
but the
okay.
signal is weak.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, well, I hear myself talking. There we go. All right, we're live. We're live. It must be live. My phone went off. But welcome. Today is Jodi Day. I'm very excited. I always love Jodi days. We know Salvador loves
I do.
loves him some Jodi.
I do.
So it's awesome that although Nick unfortunately couldn't join us today, Salvador is here, who I think is the biggest simp for Jodi
Well,
of them
maybe
all.
a little bit.
My audio is missing bass tones. Yes, because I didn't bring my mic.
Nope.
I didn't check any bags. I only had carry-on and my backpack. And so when I was trading idea what I'm gonna bring and what I'm gonna leave behind, the microphone got left behind. And I am working off of a little pack of earbuds.
Nice.
So anyway, so that's what I've got going on. Let's see. Oh, the man cold. Okay. I got scared for a second. The man cold.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very deadly. Dave looks different on non-American soil. Well, I will say that this is actually a new camera. If you guys have been following me for a little bit, you know that my house was also struck by lightning before I came here. So we have a new camera. So that might be a difference as well.
How much damage did
But
it do?
like dollar wise or like what was broken?
No, what was broken?
So I had 2 laptops. One I had in the shop, which is where the internet comes right into the house or right into, from Comcast. and it struck and it completely fried the router, the Wi-Fi repeater, all the cables leading from that went anywhere, and my other laptop that happened to be plugged into that.
Mm.
Then on this laptop, actually, yeah, I couldn't even plug in because this laptop was plugged in the house, and the Ethernet port is blown out on this laptop, so I can't even plug in if I want to.
Oh,
And then there's another router in the house. There are 4 security cameras that went out.
yikes.
Oh, and I have a string of lights in my yard that got struck too, and I'm melted and fell apart.
Damn.
But we should do the YouTube things. Chandler
Nice.
is
Hello,
in the
Chandler.
chat. Welcome. Hello. We got Bobby and Wendy H and
Wendy.
Glowy. I hope that's a sarcastic name. Rabbit is in the chat. Jung, of course, I see Jung in the chat. She's always in the chat.
Always. Jenny.
Not always. Actually, a lot she's not. So I'm always spot her when she's in here. We got Jenny B, Tia Nina.
Rabbit.
Welcome. Welcome everybody. And of course, the Broken Baker. By the way, I found this. I've been missing it since Wednesday.
Ooh.
So I did find the bottle that Baker gave me
Oh,
and the shot glass. This will not be consumed by me anytime soon, but I did find them. So I do have them. They were hidden from me.
my
So,
wife probably did that.
well, I think it was left out,
Oh, okay.
and my father-in-law just has a tendency to put things away because my Lego set went missing too.
Oh,
Which, for anyone who wants to know,
wow.
this is what I'm building this evening with Valhalla and Baker. It's actually kind of cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you can see it. So it's
Neat.
yeah, it's Mario Brothers. Obviously, it's the Mario Brothers mystery block, but it's got 3 builds on top of it. This might actually take me a while to do. I don't know if I'm gonna be the first one done this time. Oh, you remind me of my grandpa after one sit. Yeah, so yeah, I counted actually because I'm putting a video together of MLS Goes to Sweden, and part of it is our stream. And so I clipped it, and I had a glass of Prosecco, like 5 or 6 beers, and 7 shots. That was a lot.
Yeah.
And now I get woohoo off of like a half a beer. So that was a lot. And 90 minutes. Yeah, it was 90 minutes. Yes, it did. It did survive the pig roast because I forgot it because I didn't know where it was. So it never went to the pig roast. So unfortunately, I still have it, Baker. But thank you very much for the gift. That was a gift from Baker, by the way. The shot glass is probably going to survive a lot longer than this bottle will. Double shots. Oh, that's right. They were double shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 double shots. That was. You guys will see the aftermath a little bit of that. No pig roast. I went to the pig roast. The pig roast was awesome. Yeah. I just didn't bring the alcohol with. Okay, on to Jodi. From where I gathered, we didn't make it far on the last stream with Steve, Gosney, and Nick. But that's okay. We're here. We're going to try to get through about 2.5 hours rather. More testimony. I like her at 1.25 anyways. For as sensational as this trial is, she is quite boring to listen to, honestly. So I'm okay with 1.25. If it's too fast at times, or if you guys get annoyed in the chat, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to put it at 1.25. But where we left off is Jodi still talking about her and Travis and how she felt about the relationship and what her expectations were essentially. Playing herself again as a meek, innocent person, and Travis as the vicious individual in this relationship. So we'll see how it goes. I think they're just coming back from a break. Oh, and I don't know why, I think Jodi has been having a hard time answering her own attorney's questions. So whatever that's worth, that's where we're going to start off.
Record will show the presence of the defendant and all counsel. Jury is not present. Ms. Arias, earlier today and last week, a number of times there's been an objection that your answers were non-responsive. I'm going to ask that you listen very carefully to the questions and answer the question you are being asked. Yes, let's bring in the jury.
Thank you, Wendy, for the 4-month membership.
Aw.
Jody is an AZ, yes.
Yep. 40 minutes.
Just down the
from
road
now.
from I was going to say, just down the road. Salvador wants to go there so bad.
I do.
I have I don't have my normal microphone. I'm in Sweetland.
Oh, no, I think he met the judge.
Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Mr. Nurmi, you may continue with direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Arias,
I want to point out one thing, though, by the way. Sweden has some really good candies. This is Kex. This is a chocolate wafer thing. It's so good.
before we broke for lunch, we were talking about how you were considering whether or not to move or stay at Big Sur or move on. And when you started talking about, excuse me, when you started talking about moving on, you said there was a compelling reason to move on. What was that compelling reason?
Do you mean move on or move geographically?
Well, move on and leave Big Sur.
I'll move on geographically. Well, there were already plans, Travis and I were making plans for me to move to Mesa. He was very upset when I moved to Big Sur. He wanted me to either go to Mesa or stay in Southern California, but not move so far. So I had already made my commitments in Big Sur. I decided to fulfill those. They were expecting me. And so the season wasn't panning out to what it was, so I gave my notice there. And my last day was going to be sometime in June or July, I don't remember when. And I was making plans to move to Mesa. And then I discovered that he was cheating on me, so plans kind of halted. I was going to move in with my friend Rachel. And
Yeah, there's definitely static in the court, in
Okay,
the
it's
court
not
feed. I
your
hear
unit.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Nope, it's in the court feed. I turned down the boost, which makes it quieter,
Yeah.
but it has less. You won't hear the static so much. So if it's too quiet, we'll just. I mean, it's a double-edged sword here. Either it's going to be too quiet, or we're going to hear the static. Hopefully, it
Yeah.
gets better though. It sounds like 1.5 or higher. I know it does sound really fast, doesn't it? No, it's 1.25.
Hmm.
So let's keep
I
going.
kind
Let's
of
see
told
what
her
it is.
that, what was up. I didn't want to throw Travis under the bus, so I didn't go into a lot of detail. But I said that things weren't really working out with him. And,
Maybe turn it up a
things
little
aren't
bit
working out
more.
up here either. And she was encouraging me to come to Mesa anyway. Kind of make it my Mesa, don't worry about Travis. And then Travis was also
Well,
trying to...
let's just stop a minute and clarify. You had
Let's
planned
just
to move
answer
to
my
Mesa
question.
before you went to Big Sur in the summer, right?
Yes, in the spring we began to talk about that.
And once you found out he was cheating on
Bobby, before the lightning strikes you, please get your written statement over to Farrell.
you, you then made the decision to go to Big Sur. Is that right?
No, I moved to Big Sur prior to all of that.
Okay. And then you were planning on staying at Big Sur until you had this conversation with him where he started being loving towards you. Is that right?
The original plan was to stay in Big Sur, fulfill the commitments I made, and then move to Mesa.
Okay, and what were the commitments in terms of time?
In terms of time, about 2 months, 2.5 months.
Okay.
The audio's not syncing up either.
So you fulfilled your commitment. Why did you decide then, getting to my point, why did you decide then that moving to Mesa would be a good idea, considering what had happened?
That's a legitimate question.
Well, I was on the
Yeah,
fence
right.
about it. I was going to move to Montclair. There was
I
another
ask
woman
myself that often.
that I worked with at the Big Sur Bakery that was moving there, and that's closer. That's in Southern California. It's close to where I used to live. It's within an hour's drive of Palm Desert. So there were two choices, and I decided to go to Mesa. Travis painted a nice picture of all of the benefits of moving to Mesa. He said it's a strong Mormon community. There are a lot of church members.
I'm sorry, I live in
there are
Mesa. That's
always
why I'm
other-
laughing.
You're laughing at her characterization of Mesa.
Yeah. The benefits of Mesa.
Line Red says, I can't stop laughing. It's like the chipmunks reenacting the Jodi Arias trial. Yeah, this is normal speed. I don't know what's going on with this audio feed. I have no idea. It's downloaded to my computer and everything. It's not like this. I'm trying to stream it and then present it. I downloaded it ahead of time. I don't know what's up with it.
LDS, single women looking for roommates. He said I can store all of my things at his house. He said I could sock away more money. Just benefits.
Benefits to you or benefits to him?
To us both. Well, he was painting the benefits that I would reap if I moved
Me
there.
too, 20th century.
Did you believe that he was also seeking benefits?
Of course, yeah. He said we could hang out more and figure things out.
Hang out and figure things out.
What's the benefits of Travis?
Did hanging out
Friends with.
involve sexual activity?
Yes.
When you moved to Mesa, how far from Travis were you?
I don't know mileage, and I don't know if you know Mesa, but Travis lived over by Signal Butte and Elliott, and I lived over by Greenfield and Broadway.
Well, do you have any idea how long it took you to drive to Travis's
5, 10
house?
minutes? Or maybe
Well, depending on traffic,
15.
Is that how long it would take?
15 minutes,
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe.
Is she lying?
So you live
No,
about
that's right.
15 minutes away.
pretty close. Just get on the
We've
freeway.
heard other witnesses testify, tell us about what a ward was. Where you lived, was that in the same ward as?
I don't seem to like Jodi very
No.
much.
Well, there's not a lot of fans of
For
her.
him, to your understanding.
Hey, been there.
It became an issue.
Why, to your understanding, was that a concern?
Well, as soon as I moved in with Rachel, about, I'd say within a week and a half, she approached me and informed me that she and... Rephrase the question.
Well, let's do it this way then. You mentioned a person named Rachel. Is that who you moved in with originally?
Yes, and her boyfriend.
Sal, do you want to try to stream this? See if it's any
No, it's
better if
okay.
you do it.
Oh, the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can send it to me.
I'm sending you a link in the private chat if you
Okay.
want to try to get that up and running. I'll keep playing it for now.
Okay. And how long did you live with Rachel and her boyfriend?
About a week and a half.
How far into it are you?
And
I'm sorry, like 2.5 weeks.
129?
And after this 2.5 week
Yeah, like
period,
129, 130.
it's time for you to move on for their personal reasons. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, they eloped.
Okay. So
This
they
is a
got
great
married,
idea.
And
Salvador.
it was time for you to find a new place to live, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they were newly.
I don't know who that guy is. We need a place, places Jodi has been to her since you lived there. You need to go to like all the houses. You need to go. Definitely.
And
That would be interesting.
you said the issue of ward boundaries or what wards you're going to be in became an issue. Could you explain that to us?
Yes. It became imperative that I move out as quickly.
I'm ready to stream whenever.
Here we go.
Issue of ward boundaries or what wards you're going to be in
Maybe it was me.
became
Maybe,
an issue.
yeah.
Could you explain that to us?
Yes.
Stupid Swedish
It
internet.
became imperative that I move out as quickly as possible.
Do you want me to turn it up to 1.25?
They were going to have another civil wedding ceremony after he left.
Yeah, see what we can do with
So,
that.
what I did was I went to
The
I think it
bangs
was the
aren't working.
Institute Center, which is a place where young single adults in the church can go for scripture study and things like that. There was a bulletin up there with different
Yeah,
places
that works.
for rent.
Wow,
So I-
that's it. Must have been my end.
within my price
Yeah,
range.
it's weird.
I called a girl. I think she lived in Gilbert. She said that listing was old and no longer available, but she directed me to ldshousing.net and said that I could find more listings there. So I went there and I found a few within my price range. I called them all
Turn it up to 11.
Turn it up more?
to return my call.
Yeah, a little bit.
One was a girl named Brenda, and she lived in Gilbert. She had a brand new house. She said that she was looking for a roommate. She had not moved into the house yet because she was in the process of buying it, and the mortgage lender hadn't funded yet, and so she didn't have her keys yet. But we went by the house together, peeked in the windows. You know, she showed me around the property. It was brand new. It had never been lived in. It was in a really great ward. She said everyone in the ward is really awesome. So I was excited about that. But then the days kept going on, and she wasn't getting her keys, and Rachel and her new husband were like, you know, they kind of wanted their own space. So I went to ldshousing.net again. I called back. The same number as
LDShousing.net.
before, not Brenda's, but the other one. And she called me back and said that there is a room available for rent. So I went and checked it out. The house was nice. It was in a great neighborhood. It was available immediately. It was within my price range. And
Justin, this is all important stuff, Justin.
Ward. It was not the ward that Travis was in at the time.
Why did you ask her what ward it was in?
I didn't want to land.
What's that?
I didn't want to land in the same ward as Travis.
Why not?
Well, one, I figured he didn't treat me very well at church when I was his girlfriend. He ignored me. He didn't introduce me. He flirted with other women. So I figured if he was capable of treating me that way as his girlfriend, who knew what other kinds of humiliating behaviors he was capable of now that we were exes, I didn't want to show up at his ward like that.
Okay. And to your understanding?
He's choosing an apartment by peeking in the window.
We had talked about it, yes. He said now that we're not together.
Whether or not she knows if you wanted her or not.
To your understanding, did Mr. Alexander want to make sure that you were in a different ward?
Hey, Dan.
I don't know if he went that far. We just discussed going to different wards.
Okay. Now this home.
Yes, by the way, I pinned a link to Sal's channel at the top of my chat.
In terms of, let's just use the marker of time, how far away was this from Travis's house?
With Sal helping us with this, he deserves a sub from all
I
of
didn't
you.
know at first. I was still using my.
You say a lot closer. How long a drive was it to Travis's house from where you wound up after you moved out of Rachel's place?
I would say 10 minutes or less, depending on the route.
Okay.
I want to know where she lives, Sal. I want to see the
And you mentioned
outside of the house.
that you and Travis.
Hang on.
Can you give us a ballpark in terms of the time we're talking about here, month and year, when you've moved into this new place?
Yes, I believe it was the middle of August 2007.
And at this point in time, I know that you had told us that you ended your relationship with Mr. Alexander, at least from a formal standpoint or from a label standpoint. You broke up as boyfriend and girlfriend, but he was telling you all these loving things, and you come back in good graces anyway. Were you his girlfriend at this time in August of 2007?
No,
When you moved back to Mesa, regardless of where you lived, was the sexual relationship still ongoing?
it was ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Were you acting as a couple?
It was ongoing to the day he died.
No,
Yeah.
they were even more clandestine.
More clandestine.
Yes,
And this clandestine sexual relationship, where was this by and large happening?
at his house.
Salvador, is this making you jealous when you hear about all their sexual encounters?
Generally work.
A little bit.
Would you come over at a certain time? How did that work?
Typically,
not lying.
the cycle began to develop where there would be a fight, and then they would make up, and it would turn sexual, and then everything would be okay for a little while.
Yeah, typical Mesa girl.
Now, the sexual relationship you were having with Mr. Alexander in the summer. of
You know from
2007,
experience, sir?
Yes.
Did this include oral sex?
I'm very loud. I'll turn myself down.
Yes,
Anal sex?
eventually, but I'm trying to remember if we did that summer. It was around that time, but I don't remember exactly when.
And did it include penile?
I turned myself down.
Eventually.
The stenographer's blank face.
Now,
I missed that. Can you go back? I was
Yeah.
focusing on junk.
Of course.
It was eventually, but I'm trying to remember if we did that summer. It was around that time, but I don't remember exactly when.
And did it include penile vaginal intercourse?
Eventually, it did one time.
His eyes are just blinking so fast.
Okay, I got that.
SOS for help.
Yeah, that was great.
Did you find a job?
I did finally toward the end of August, and not right away, but I did
And where were you working?
at PF Chang's.
And apart
PF
from
Chang's
PF
is not a bad
Chang's, did you have any other sources of income?
Yes,
What was that?
Travis offered to pay me to clean his house.
And
That's
was
a
there
good
set
move.
upon hourly wage?
In
for
a
that?
maid's outfit.
Yes, he was
Sexy maid's
going
outfit.
to pay me $200 extra a month.
I need to use that
to come
move.
over
Does
twice
this
a
make
week.
her a
I don't
prostitute?
remember how many hours, but when you did the math, it equals $12.50 an hour.
Righteous
And you
buttons.
were also having a sexual relationship with him at this time, right?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Turner?
Left the money on the dresser every night.
Jody, I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 395. Could you take a look at that? See if you recognize that?
Really got to admire this guy. He has all the moves.
It's an email he sent me.
Gets his house cleaned and access to Jody.
This is kind of a joke about my,
I know, right? This guy's a smooth talker.
I know.
Your uniform what, for cleaning his house?
yes,
Uniform.
What did he want you to wear?
he wanted me to wear
Definitely a 3-hole one.
one of those French maid outfits.
And do you remember when he sent you this?
I knew that, the French maid outfit.
I
It
knew
would
it.
have been sometime in early August.
Well, that's why I'm in a French maid's outfit on the
Yeah.
one of the thumbnails.
Oh, excuse me. Question 393 earlier.
No objection to the photographic portion of the email. but
Oh no, that's in my Discord.
Hearsay or the written comment.
I think that's courtesy of Farrell.
Hmm.
We can skip the sidebars, yeah.
Okay.
Let's back up. Jody, let's back up a step. When Mr. Alexander proposed this arrangement to you in August of '07, is that accurate?
Yes,
Did you accept?
I will
this?
find out for you, John.
I hesitated, but when he said it's 200 extra a month, I said yes, because I needed money.
And at the time you accepted this offer, Mr. Alexander made to you, were you still sexually active with him?
Yes,
When you were cleaning the house, working as his maid, if you will, did he ever express the desire to have sex with you while you were working for him?
Objection to characterization of the
Oh, Matt's, it's played in court. It was definitely recorded.
And how did you feel about that? You're there to clean his house, and he's having sex with you.
It didn't bother me. We were still intimate. He's paying attention to me. He's being nice. He's focused on me, making me feel attractive. So it wasn't unpleasant.
It's a living.
Yeah, right? There's thousands of women out there that say the same thing.
Particular uniform.
Yes.
Walk in the streets every night.
Describe that uniform for us.
The picture he sent me was of a woman, a voluptuous woman with long blonde hair, a low-cut French maid outfit. She had stockings that went up to her thighs.
She already got the breast implants at this point, I
It was
believe.
black and
Her
white
last
with
boyfriend.
white
They aren't
ribbon,
real?
No, sorry.
Put up and something.
Now she just
When
went
the rest of her is rotting away in the ground, those are just going to be sitting there right on her ribs.
This is not an evidence. It cannot be published to the jury.
You just didn't object to it a few minutes ago.
Council approach, please.
Yes, of course he's being nice to you. You are being nice to him. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, my Discord, by the way, if you guys become members, you get access to the Discord. It has all the naughty pics of Jodi and Travis.
Mm.
I believe the last boyfriend before Travis, the one that she was living with, the guy who was like 50,
Oh, yeah.
I believe he paid for them. Yeah.
Ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen,
hush,
if you wish
Farrell.
to stand in place, we have about 2 minutes, and you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, I agree. The fake boobies knock them down several points in my book. Not so much that they're fake, it's that you felt that you needed to get them. Now, if they were medically necessary, that's different. But if you're
I think there's a medical
concerned
reason for
about your
that.
appearance, it knocks you down a few points. Doesn't knock you out of the running, it's just a few points down. Yeah, nope, she did not have to buy them. And she took them with her to jail. One piece of personal property she brought with her. Midlife crisis. Yeah. Yeah, no. So there was he was like 48 and she was 22 or something. And
Is
they
me
had a
out.
relationship. They bought a house together. They lived with each other for up until after she met Travis. She moved out of that guy's house to Mesa. She was just talking about.
Yeah.
No, no. Like breast cancer, John,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
medically necessary like breast cancer.
Okay, that's fair.
But if you got them for purely cosmetic purposes,
Yeah.
you,
Well, I don't know. Like,
you get a few points off.
military used to give you
Record will
like
show the
a
presence of the jury, the defendant.
free plastic or like some kind of cosmetic surgery when you got out of the military. So my cousin got a breast implant.
What military is this? It's like the
US.
Polish military? Ah, stupid.
No.
Well, this probably transgender surgery is probably in there too. In that case.
Yeah, well,
Defendant and counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Exhibit
Just one.
395001 is admitted. Mr. Nermy, you may continue.
they all float.
He did testify.
Picture you
He
received
did.
in an email. If I may approach Ryan.
He already did in our stream of this.
Do you recognize that as being that picture?
Yes.
Drew, you are a member, so click the YouTube member tab on my YouTube channel,
When you received this email from
and
him,
there's a link.
was this before or after you began working for him?
It was after we made the agreement, but before I started.
Oh, it's a sexy maid's outfit.
How did you feel in receiving this?
I just kind of laughed. I think he meant it as a joke.
You felt like you
Sweetie.
meant it?
Yes.
Did your feelings on that subject change when he was having sex with you while you were supposedly working for him?
Well, on the uniform, no, but as far as the implication, I mean, I kind of knew that was implied sometimes.
Because of the implication.
That was kind of implied sometimes, meaning if he was paying you to clean his house and you were available to have sex with him, that was part of the deal?
Rephrase.
So what do you mean by that?
When you were working for him?
You just gave her the answer. Just ask her,
Working for him, he's
what do you mean by
entitled
that?
to have sexual access to you?
I wouldn't say that. I needed money. We were already intimate.
Say that.
Ask another question.
Why did you not feel that way?
I was already intimate with him, and I had feelings for him, so it wasn't. It didn't. I didn't correlate the two. Usually, I.
There's a rule on
was
that
there.
in the
It was generally during the
lawyers'
day,
ethic
so
rules.
I didn't want to distract
what?
you from that.
There's a rule in the rules of professional conduct for lawyers in Michigan. I
Mhm.
think it's like a general rule in like most states that literally says you cannot have sex with a client unless you were having sex with the client before that person became a client. That's the rule. So as long as you're doing the deed before they become a client, then you could go.
You can still represent them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. What about
I mean, like
afterwards?
spouses and girlfriends and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It makes it a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
about
So
afterwards?
after the represent, I don't know. It's just a weird rule to have, but obviously we have these rules because it
Yeah.
exists everywhere, even with house cleaners.
sometimes he would come to me, or he would bump into me suggestively and say, "Oh, excuse me," and then it would happen again, and then it would lead to something. Sometimes he would
No,
just come
yeah,
and say,
MG says same rule in Oklahoma. It literally says that.
Pretty sure it's everywhere.
How long did you clean his house, work as his maid?
Is that a euphemism?
almost the entire time that I lived in Mesa.
Okay.
What if you tip them and it just falls
Did he
inside
always
of
pay
you?
you?
Did he
He
give
always paid me in one form or another.
did he give you the
What
tip?
do you mean by that?
Sometimes, well, it was usually cash, but sometimes, well, we went on trips together, so sometimes we always split the trips 50-50. He kept meticulous track of the cost. He could always figure it down to the dollar, who owed who what, how we reached the figure. So sometimes if he owed me money for the house, he would just eat the cost on traveling.
Okay. But there was always financial compensation for this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, earlier today, you mentioned that when you moved back to Mesa, there was a clandestine sexual relationship that went on behind closed doors of his bedroom.
Yes.
Was
Clandestine.
there a sexual
I know.
relationship?
Salvador, do you want to have a
that was
clandestine relationship with Jodi?
I
in
do.
other places besides just his bedroom?
Yes.
Where did those occur?
I think you're being sarcastic, and I would agree with the opposite.
Where else did you have
I get you,
sexual
Chloe.
interaction with Mr. Alexander?
Sometimes it was,
Same objection, we just need to know when.
Answer the question.
sometimes it was in my car, in parking lots. Sometimes it was when we traveled, and sometimes it was at my house. in Mesa.
He made her pay him.
Now, when you mentioned your car.
I wish
earlier
this
in your
guy was still
testimony,
around to
you
give me
told us
lessons.
about the interaction that took place after he gave you the Book of Mormon and you went to Starbucks. Is that what we're talking about, or are we talking about other occasions in your car?
Other occasions, but the same kind of thing.
Oh, I have to do a
Did
shout out to
those
Max,
also
by the way.
occur after you moved back to Mesa, or did those occur before you moved to Mesa?
I know they occurred after I moved to Mesa.
You also mentioned that sexual behavior was going on through these trips you took with him as well, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you also mentioned your house in Mesa. Is that the one you shared with Rachel, or are you speaking to the other home that you moved into a couple weeks later?
The other home, he wouldn't go to Rachel's house.
Is there a specific location in this home that your sexual behavior with Travis took place?
Yes, in my bedroom.
Did it happen anywhere else besides your bedroom?
Yes, a couple times. He,
Where did these?
I believe that's
Besides
correct,
your
John.
bedroom, where in your home?
the front porch.
And how did you wind up having sexual encounters with Travis on his front porch? On your front porch, excuse me.
It was something he wanted to try since I had known him since 2006. It was something he expressed that he wanted to do. He had a list of fantasies that he wanted to fulfill. And he wanted to show up, get out of his car. Sorry.
Ask another question.
No need to apologize, Jodi.
Aw.
It's Taco Saturday here, and it's like,
Was this?
yeah, 6 p.m., so I'm missing dinner.
This fantasy he had involving you being on the porch of your home.
Okay. It was, he wanted to drive up to the house. Something we couldn't do it in Palm Desert. So now that I was in Mesa, it was a different kind of porch. It was more private. There was a huge column, a big square stucco column that offered more privacy. There was
I'm gonna be looking at my
a big
neighbors
bush that
differently
created
now.
a shadow from the streetlight. So this would
If
occur
you want to have
late at night.
outdoor sex, why are you concerned about hiding behind a big column? I mean, isn't that the thrill of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they seem so boring. Their sex life is so boring. They're trying. They're
Yeah.
trying to be like adventurous and and it's just
Yeah.
so boring.
It's like they read
It's
50
it's
Shades
juvenile.
of Grey. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to drive up to the home. He wanted to get out of the car, have me come out of the house, give him oral sex, and he wanted to ejaculate on my face and then get back in his car and drive away without saying a single word.
And were you to be dressed during these?
Hold on.
Ejaculate
That's
on
like
my
a
face and then get back in his car and drive away without saying a single word.
His face.
And were you to be dressed during these interactions or naked, or what was his fantasy?
I was dressed.
And how many times did he do this?
2 or 3 times. I can only remember 2 specifically.
Tell us about those 2 occasions. Tell us about the first occasion.
Well, the first occasion occurred just like I described, and we talked later the next
sounds
day.
like he had a good deal
Second
there.
occasion, after
One
his
time
dad
at
dropped
Mormon
something
camp?
near me and got into his car and left. And so I picked up whatever it was he dropped and took it inside to find out what it was.
What was it?
It was Toblerone.
It kind of is
Ejaculated on
relevant
you
a little bit.
some candy?
Pretty much.
Because she's trying to establish herself as the victim,
Yeah.
and
in front
he's
of my
taking
mom.
advantage of her.
You mentioned that Mr.
Hey, Moni.
Alexander had other fantasies
Money, money.
that he described for you. Can you tell us another one of those fantasies?
He wanted to do the mile high, which we never did. He wanted to
Mile
pull
high.
off of a freeway on a remote highway somewhere and have sex on the hood of the car, which we didn't do. But he also wanted to have sex on the freeway while driving.
Everything he read in the Penthouse magazines.
It was the 10 or the 40. We were driving east across Texas.
Wait, back that up. I missed that. I was talking.
I think it was.
Hey, expert.
Hey, expert.
But he also
Yes,
wanted
this
to
is a dungeon in Sweden.
have sex on the freeway while driving, which we did.
Oh,
You
It
did?
was the 10 or the 40. We were driving east across Texas.
how do you? How? Okay, wait. He's going to clarify if it's oral sex or
Oh.
No,
P in the
it
V.
was vaginal.
What? How do you do that?
What other fantasies did he have?
Wait, it was?
It was vaginal. She said.
What other fantasies did he
Okay.
have?
Well, you
He
can.
wanted
It's just kind of
to wear
dangerous.
the boys' underwear. He had a lot of anal sex fantasies. He wanted me to wear the boys' underwear and have anal sex, and he wanted to wear his. He had a lot of nice suits because he was in prepaid legal, and he had tailored shirts with his initials stitched into the cuffs, and he wanted me to perform oral sex on him in his office while he was wearing those suits.
Did you comply with that desire? of
Yes.
his?
Yeah, that one we did many times.
Yes, Chloe. That's what it is.
Wardrobe.
Yes, Nick has me trapped in his basement
Boys'
dungeon.
Underwear and anal sex. Is this the boys' underwear that you received back on Valentine's Day?
Yes.
The Spider-Man, right?
Did he ever explain to you why he wanted you to wear this underwear and why he wanted to have anal sex with you when you were wearing this underwear?
He just said it was hot.
Yeah,
Did not give
nothing
any other explanation at the time?
creepy.
Salvador,
Yeah.
would you be sending Jodi
You
some
mentioned,
Spider-Man underwear?
No,
well, let me ask
that's
you
a little
this.
weird. At least you
How
wouldn't
did you
judge me for
feel
my kinks, but you know.
about having anal sex with Travis when you were wearing this boy's Spider-Man underwear?
Well, after we began to do that more regularly, he used lubrication that time, so it wasn't painful.
So he's a gentleman.
And I don't know, I guess there were times when I enjoyed being with him, so I was willing to do, I enjoyed making him happy, so I was willing to do things that he liked to do. And while he did those things that he liked to do, he was paying
You
attention.
liked
So
it too.
I got
Don't give
something
me
out of it
that.
too, I guess, in that regard.
Okay. So based on what you're telling us, are you saying that he treated you differently?
Yeah,
before,
don't watch
during,
the
and
stream
after
with
these
kids around.
encounters, just before and during? You said he was paying a different amount of attention to you. Can you maybe describe for us what you mean by that?
Yes.
Hey, extra.
When he was in the mood or turned on, then he was very nice and paid attention to me. Sometimes when we got together, he was very loving and romantic. Sometimes it was just animalistic. After
Animalistic.
he was done for a while.
You mean done sexually or done being nice?
Done. He didn't turn mean, but done being nice, I would say.
So there's a
And then
few
would it be
warning
fair to
signs
say
there.
When he wanted sex again, he became nice.
Always.
Mind you, this woman said that the first sexual encounter was anal rape after her baptism. Well, not their first, it was the first insertion, I suppose, because they did oral stuff. But it was essentially anal rape after her baptism. And that's what she testified to. I'm not saying it happened that way.
Yeah.
But she still decided, oh yeah, I'm gonna move to Mesa.
Once you moved back to Mesa, you were having this clandestine sexual relationship, and you weren't his girlfriend, right?
Yes, that's right.
Why was this okay with you?
I wasn't, I guess I was still in love with him, and I would go on dates occasionally with other people, but there was no spark there, I think because Travis had my heart, and I'm a monogamous person, so I'm sleeping with Travis, so there's not really any room in my heart or my mind or in my life that wasn't making room for anybody else. So that's kind of just how it continued.
So was there ever any thought in your head, this isn't right, I need to stop this relationship?
There were times when it seemed very unhealthy, and I did have those thoughts.
Did you ever vocalize those thoughts to Travis?
Eventually I did, yes.
The night
Let's
of.
talk about this time period as well, because you mentioned you were traveling with Mr. Alexander even after you moved back to Mesa. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And after you moved back to Mesa in late summer 2007,
I'm not pulling up your
where did you and
chat,
Travis
Justin.
travel to? What were some of the destinations you went to?
Well, first we went to Las Vegas for the convention, which was in early September again. I went to the executive director banquet with him again. And after that, the weekend following Las Vegas, there was going to be another recap, but we ditched that and went with Dan and Desiree to House of Pie.
Where else did you go?
In October, we went to New Mexico, to Albuquerque for the Balloon Fiesta. We went to Santa Fe to 10,000 Wave Spa. We saw Route 66. There might have been another place. These were all places that were in the book, 1,000 Places. We began calling it the list, so we're just checking places off the list.
And that was kind of motivating your travel to these spots, is that correct?
Yes.
Before we get too far down the road to other places you traveled, I want to show you what's been marked. Exhibits 434 and 431. Be so kind to take a look at these. And what do you recognize exhibit 434 to be?
That's Travis and I at the executive director banquet in March 2007.
And exhibit 431?
That's Travis and I at the Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque.
And when was that?
That would be October 2007.
I would move to admit exhibits 431 and 434.
No objection.
431 and 434 are admitted.
Now, you just mentioned the
I got some
executive
tacos.
director's ball in 2007. Is this what we're seeing here?
Yes.
Oh, ooh.
That looks touched up.
Picture?
I don't normally like blondes, but
It's just very sentimental. It's about happier times. When you just look back, you don't think that it would end up the way it did.
No, she's on direct right now. Direct exam. Go ahead, maybe a banner for this.
Let me show you what's been admitted as Exhibit 431. Take a look at that, please. Is that hard to look at?
Yeah.
They really have great camera
We had a really
placements.
bad fight that morning, but it turned out better. And we had a pretty good day afterward.
Yeah, but not bad.
How long was this trip?
I think just the weekend. I don't recall specifically. It wasn't very long.
Based on the picture, one might assume that you were acting as a couple during this trip. Is that true?
Yes.
Did that end when you got back to Mesa?
Yeah, I did. Well, it depends on the time.
Farrell doesn't think
Well, what do you mean by
this
that?
would lead her to murder someone in cold
I
blood.
was still coming over to his
Not that it's a
house.
certainty, but she might not.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out. She doesn't think that this. It could possibly,
Yeah.
but you know, that's why if I go missing,
Yeah.
To warn me that he was seeing
Exactly. First suspect.
other people.
yep, definitely is Farrell.
So, I mean, it was,
Well, what I was asking you is if this public affection, that sort of thing.
Is that his
when you
dad,
got back to
maybe?
Mesa.
Her dad?
yes, it did, unless we were in his room.
Oh, that's probably her dad.
Yeah, it might be
No,
hers.
affection was okay.
Yeah,
so
because
long
he's
as you were
Hispanic,
in his
so
room
it's
or on
not
your porch where he was ejaculating on the face,
his.
right?
Well, yeah, but the latter wasn't really affectionate much.
Okay. That brings up a good point. You come out on the porch, you fulfill his fantasies, he ejaculates on your face and throws some chocolate at you.
Throw some chocolate at you.
I couldn't help thinking that it was gonna,
Gives her a Toblerone bar.
I kind of want to reenact this.
No.
but I didn't. I put that out of my mind and just chalked it up to one of his little antics that he did.
Chalked it up to one of his little antics.
Yes.
Boy, imagine answering these questions with your dad in
Was
the
there ever
courtroom.
a point in time in your mind that you said, enough of these little antics, I'm done with this guy?
At least he wasn't there for the photos.
Maybe farther down the road.
Yeah.
Before that, no.
Not at that point in time.
No, if anything, we increased.
What?
If anything, we increased with those kinds of things, the antics, all that. You can call them antics.
Well, let me ask again something I asked earlier. Had he been physically abusive with you up to this point in time, late summer of 2007?
No.
Okay.
Well, he grabbed my wrist one time, but I didn't consider it abusive. So I don't know. That's
Well, when did that occur?
at the convention in Oklahoma City in March 2007.
Describe those circumstances for us.
He and I were hanging out at the
I
Sheraton.
think that's
This was 2 nights after. the
Travis's
whole-
brother.
And so we were just hanging out with other colleagues and friends. And I had to use the restroom, so I went to the same restroom that I ran to a few nights before. It's sort of by a bar that's at the lobby. And so this is Saturday night now. And by Saturday night, a lot of people are partying. Convention's over. Everyone's going to leave Sunday. So there were a lot of people. There was a big crowd, a lot of people that were drinking and just having fun and being social. And as I was making my way back through the crowd, I heard somebody call my name. And I stopped and looked around to see who it was. And it was Abe, the guy I had gone on a date with some months earlier. And we talked briefly. And I don't remember if he had heard about what happened or if I told him about what happened, but he just was listening and he said he deserved better. And I said, thanks. I said, it's okay, that kind of thing. So then we parted and I made my way back through the crowd and I was leaving the crowd and I saw Travis standing at the edge of the crowd waiting for me. And I just smiled as I walked up to him, went to grab his hand and his hand shot out and grabbed my wrist instead.
Was he angry with you?
He seemed upset, but not at first. He seemed incredibly angry until he started talking, and then I realized he was pretty mad.
How did he, you said he grabbed your wrist. Did he grab it hard, or was he just holding it?
He grabbed it hard, but not painfully.
Did it ever become painful?
Not at that moment. He was just squeezing very tightly, but it didn't hurt.
And you said that he was not that angry at that time, but later you understood him to be more angry. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, as soon as he began to talk, I could tell he was pissed off.
And how could you tell that without telling us what he said? How could you tell that?
By his demeanor, his tone, his words. And
Was he yelling?
no, he was kind of speaking very sternly, sort of under his breath.
Okay. And was he unhappy with the fact that you were talking to Mr. Abdallah?
Yes, he was. Well, he wanted to know what we were talking about.
Okay. And when you learned what you were talking about, is that when you became more angry?
Yes.
Okay. And you were talking about the idea that you deserve better, right?
Yes.
Okay. Moving back then to you being in Mesa and the sexual encounters.
Do we think that Jody's head
You
down
said
and
it
shame
happened
is
more
genuine or
frequently.
put on?
Was this on a daily basis, a near daily basis?
I'd say 3 to 4 times a week.
And apart from those instances on the porch, you mentioned instances of his home. How did that work?
If it was the middle of the day and nobody was home, then there wasn't as much of a need to keep a secret or keep it within the confines of the bedroom. But if people were home and his roommates were home, we had to be very quiet. He used to complain that his house was made a KB home and that the walls were thin and his roommates could hear every sound, so we had to be quiet.
So it was pretty obvious to you that your presence there in the home was a secret to his roommates, right?
No, I agree. She's definitely
Well,
trying to
maybe our
stop.
activities. I parked right in the driveway.
Okay. So it wasn't your presence in the home, it was the fact that he was having sex with you that was the secret.
Yeah.
Okay. Were precautions made? You mentioned daytime. Sometimes this happened at night as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were there precautions made for you getting out the next morning? Did you stay the night? How did that work?
I usually stayed the night, but I left pretty early.
Was that intentional to avoid the roommates knowing you spent the night?
Yes, because, well, usually, yes.
Okay. Did you know, well, this, I'm assuming, you talked about August, this is moving all the way until, well, let me ask you this. Did this state of affairs continue throughout the fall of 2007?
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of this state of affairs, at the time, did you know him to be dating any other women?
No. In fact, he
Well,
specifically.
the roommate also had to engage in the Provo push, remember?
So you were under the impression that when you were engaging in this sexual activity, he wasn't dating anyone else, right?
Not exclusively. I assumed he went on dates on occasion with people from his church. Sometimes I'd go on group dates, but I definitely didn't have the impression that he was in a committed relationship with anybody.
And you told us just a few moments ago that you didn't believe that the two of you, or at least you didn't characterize it as a committed relationship, right?
No, I didn't.
Were you dating other people?
Yeah, imagine being family sitting through
I
this.
went on dates on occasion, but nothing that became repeated, so nothing that blossomed into any kind of relationship.
To your knowledge, did Travis know about any of these dates you had with other individuals?
He found out about one, 2, actually, early on, if we're talking the same time period.
Okay. And
I know exactly what you're saying.
2007 time period. These dates you went on, did he react positively?
Way off vibes.
Knowing that you went on these other dates.
One, he just teased me, and the other one very negatively.
You weren't in a relationship with him. What was the problem?
The one that he reacted negatively
Sorry,
to
it's
was
my supper time.
Who was that?
his name is John Dixon.
So Mr. Alexander believed, or would it be your impression that Mr. Alexander believed that he had a right to tell you who you could date at this time period?
Objection made. Oh,
He just specifically didn't want me to date that guy.
And was that okay with you for Mr. Alexander to dictate whom you dated?
objection in this case. The
He was trying to make him jealous.
Never indicated it dictated, just that he didn't want her to date the guy. Rephrase your question.
Okay, so you go out on a date, you're not his girlfriend. You go out on a date with somebody named John Dixon, right?
Yes,
And Mr. Alexander doesn't like Mr. Dixon, right?
yes,
So because of that, you're not supposed to date John Dixon because Travis doesn't like him?
not date him and not even be his friend.
Because Travis says so, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah. So you could date who you wanted unless Travis told you no, right?
yeah, it seemed that way.
And all the time when he's having sex with you behind closed doors, or
It seems like a weird situation.
When he's having the sex and foundation as to when he dated John Dixon. Be different.
Unless she truly knows that she's just
She
a
can't
toy
have
for
him.
him to use.
fall of 2007, he comes over, he ejaculates on your face, throws candy at you, as you're having sex behind closed doors.
He keeps
and
repeating
you're not
that.
in a committed relationship, right? The fall of 2007, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yes,
That's the same time period you dared to defy Mr. Alexander and go out on a date with John Dixon, right?
Objection is testimony. She didn't say that she defied him. She was just upset about it. The characterization is what the objection was.
Sustained, rephrase.
When did you go out with John Dixon?
it was actually right before the fall, late August, I think the very last weekend in August.
So Mr. Alexander expressed his anger in the fall of 2007 about you going on a date with Mr. Dixon, right?
Yes, he found out the morning we were leaving for Have Supply.
But it didn't stop him from having sex with you, right?
No,
Ejaculating on your face didn't stop him from doing that, right?
Objection asked and answered. Okay.
no, it didn't stop him from that.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
And it didn't stop him from going to have a soup with you, right?
No,
Did it stop you from dating John Dixon again?
yes,
Did it stop you from really dating anyone else again?
I went on a couple more dates during that time and on through the next year.
Okay. Did you tell Travis about those, or did you try to keep those a secret?
No, I learned to stop telling him anything about my social life regarding that. I
Oh,
did-
Irish, you missed the details.
Okay.
On a car, in a car, vaginally while it's moving, on a
And
balcony.
Again, with this state of affairs, why not cut the proverbial cord?
All kinds of
Break
crazy.
up with this guy who's telling you you can date him, you can't date him. Why not put it into it?
Well, I mean, right now we're kind of focusing on the negative things. There were things he did that made me feel like $1 million. Very
Describe
special.
those things for us.
It was less what he did and just more how he treated me at times. He would say little things that were sentimental and have meaning between us. He got me little gifts, nothing expensive, but it was more the thought and just the gestures that he did. And he still would allude to the fact that he wanted to marry me, even though I don't know that he was very serious.
You know, he's stringing you along.
Kept telling you things you wanted to hear?
Yeah, he did.
I promise. Oh, come on, Jody. Come on. Maybe I'll marry you someday, right?
No, it wasn't quite like that.
How was it?
If I did something that he liked or that pleased him in some kind of way, like something I said or something I did, he would just look at me kind of with this enigmatic smile and say, "Marry me." And it wasn't like an actual proposal, but it was kind of a joke, but I took it as a compliment.
Wesley. It's only fun when the hobo gets
Because,
so much.
he only said those things when I did something that would merit me being a good wife, potentially.
I'm sorry, the last part you said?
Being a good wife, like if I did something that might be in line with that, I took it as a compliment because that was my goal at the time. And that's what I wanted to become.
Okay.
Oh, line right, I agree.
His wife?
That's her defense, but it's not how normal people
Desire
exist.
for a while until probably after Havasupai.
Okay.
Like normal people take ownership of their actions, except for this one like thing that
What
was out of their
changed at
control.
Havasupai that made you decide, I don't want to marry this guy?
My feelings for him didn't necessarily change, but in my mind, we had such a bad fight that morning. He said some very ugly things to me that it was a boundary we had never crossed before. And I couldn't imagine marrying somebody that had said those things to me, or raising children with a man who their father had said those things to their mother, kind of thing. That's how I imagined it.
What kind of things were we talking about?
He said,
Objection, here's
Not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted, the effect on the listener.
Was that muted
It's
while I
now
was
time to
talking?
Take the afternoon recess. Please be back in the designated area at 3:15.
Oh, Salvador stepped away, but we need him to fast forward a touch. And it gives me an opportunity to get to Wendy's Super Chat, $9.99 Super Chat. Please hit the thumbs up, please. Or hit the thumbs up, please, and thank you. Thank you, Wendy, for the $9.99 Super Chat. Yes, and please hit the
No, I'm
thumbs
still
up
here. I can
to
fast
get
forward.
like monster numbers. Since Nick's not dual streaming today, unfortunately. What am I at right now? Let's see, there's 82 watching. That can't be right. There's 82 watching. I'm at 58 likes. Come on. Wait. I guess I should like my own channel. Yeah, this is like a 12-minute break. And then we should be at the rest of it should just go. What's our time at right now?
3:05. So an hour.
Okay. So we have an hour. All right, so this is good.
Okay. Boo.
And we'll finally be done with day 16. Took us 3 attempts to get there.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, Judge.
We have, I think, 5 more days
We're
till
talking
cross.
about an argument that you had with Mr. Alexander before the Havasupai trip, and when he had learned that you went out on a date with John Dixon, right?
yes,
Okay. The argument you had with him, where did that take place?
I believe it started downstairs over the backpack. That's kind of what started it. And I took the backpack upstairs into his bathroom to look for my toothbrush. Everything had been repacked, so I didn't know what was what. And I just woke up, wanted to brush my teeth before we hit the road. And he came in the bathroom, and the argument escalated in the bathroom.
This was
Yeah, pretty
the
much,
argument
Justin.
that Mr. Freeman testified was all about makeup and personal care products, right?
Yes, but it wasn't makeup.
What sort of things, you said that Travis said things to you up in that bathroom that made you realize that that wasn't the type of person you wanted to marry, right? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
What things did he say to you that made you feel that way?
It was only one thing specifically. As our argument escalated and got more and more, by this point I was brushing my teeth. I'd found my toothpaste and toothbrush, and I was crying. He had found out about my date because I wrote it in my journal, regrettably, and when he repacked it, he read it. And I
Who
was
writes
able
in
to
a
tell him I
journal?
talked about the time I'm sorry, I got
an
distracted.
argument, and then she wants to tell us about
At
the
her
journal.
age.
No.
She's just not being responsive, so objection, beyond the scope of the question, unresponsive.
Restate your question.
Sure, Jody. What did Travis say to you that made you realize you didn't want to marry? What specifically?
He said, "Fuck you."
What else? Say anything else?
Well, he said a lot of things about John. He was calling him John Dickhead instead of John Dixon. That was his nickname for him.
You didn't miss a whole lot.
For the last year. And
Talking about,
after he said F you, he turned on his heels and left the bathroom.
he didn't like when she was talking to other guys.
Why'd you still decide to go to Havasupai with him?
Well, there was a lot of crying and that kind of thing. Dan came in the bathroom. I didn't realize he was in there. I was blowing my nose and crying and was embarrassed
Gross.
to be arguing in front of him. So Dan kind of was like, Dan and Desiree were kind of like the glue. They sort of said, you know, hey, let's just calm down. Let's try to get along. Let's try to get on this trip. I wanted to go on the trip, but I contemplated just going home because it was really bad. And it was really bad between us. I was mortified. Like we had never argued to this extent. And
He found it in her diary. She wrote
So I
it
was
in
very
her diary and he
and
found it.
very ashamed.
So he's
And
going
so,
through her diary and she has one.
I stayed in the bathroom for a little while trying to calm myself down. And then I don't remember how it all came together, but eventually we all were in the garage in the car and we were beginning to drive off.
That's a good question, Mama Source Rex. I haven't reached out to them about interviews yet.
Testimony leading.
Overruled me answer.
Yes.
And it sounds like during this trip, you two were acting like boyfriend and girlfriend again, right?
During some parts, we were kind of, well, I felt like my feelings were hurt, so I wasn't very responsive to him at that time. I wasn't ignoring him. I wasn't being rude or anything, but I just felt like an emotional chasm between us.
And this
Moni, you're missing the point. She had a diary at
The second
age like
weekend in September.
26.
Okay. Let's move back then towards the late part of 2007. We were talking about.
Thank you, Bobby.
Course of conduct was late night rendezvous, be they on your porch, be they in his bedroom, right? And that happened, you said, about 3 to 4 times a week, right?
Overruled me answer.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And at this point in time, and now we're talking late 2007, has he been physically abusive with you? Other than the one incident you told us about?
Late 2007? There was a point in October, late October, where he pushed me down on the ground in his bedroom, but I landed on my knees. I didn't like fall over or anything.
This is getting into Amber Heard territory.
In his bedroom or your bedroom?
His bedroom.
Not that there'd be any excuse for it, but what did you understand his motivation to do?
Not that there would be any excuse for it.
What was his reason for pushing you over?
He
So
was,
we got a lot of background on your end once you came back up.
no. We were arguing, and I got up to leave, and he was done making his point, and he wanted to stay. He wanted me to stay, so I guess he could finish yelling at me.
I guess it was what I didn't understand the last
He
part.
wanted me to, I got up to
Yeah,
leave
there's
his bedroom.
something in
and
your
he locked
background,
the door and
Salvador.
took my arms and shoved me down, and I landed on my knees, and he said, "You're not going."
Not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted and excited evidence.
Approach.
Hey,
Will do.
she's sleeping right now.
Alexander, say when he pushed you down.
He said no like 5 times fast, like, no, you're not going anywhere.
You weren't allowed to leave, right?
Stay.
Were you allowed to leave?
I didn't push the issue at that point. I tried to leave one more time and he stopped me again. And then on the 3rd time I tried to leave, he didn't stop me.
The second time you tried to leave, you said he stopped you. Did he grab you and throw you down again?
No, he just put his hands on my shoulders.
Okay. Forcefully?
Yes,
Call you names?
yes.
Like what?
That was such an awful fight. I don't remember all the names he called. I just
Or
remember
perhaps you're not a sociopath.
one thing that really sticks out is he was insulting my family.
He's asked if she was called any names, never talking about the family.
Okay, well, let's ask this. How was he insulting your family? Was he calling them names?
Yes,
What was he saying about your family?
he was saying that my brother was a faggot because his name is Carl.
What?
Wait, what? Guys? Sorry, Carls. Sorry, all Carls out there.
I told him that he was named after my grandfather, and he said, "Your grandfather must be a faggot too, then."
What?
That's just something I remember specifically that bothered me. It's not that.
I don't know any
gay,
Carls, but
that's Travis's way of issuing a deep insult to him. That's insulting.
Did he say
Is that
anything
Carl?
about-
That must have been Carl.
Do you recall?
Not in that specific argument.
what is with the
Any
Carl thing?
specific
I don't know
argument?
that.
have no
Grabs you,
idea.
Throws you down.
I'm gonna
He's
Google
free for the
that.
second time when you get to leave. What was the thing that was so important that Travis wanted to do? Insult your family, or was there something else?
He just kept ranting and raving and yelling.
You don't remember about what?
Honestly, my brain sort of went on freeze and I don't remember a lot of what he was saying. He was just yelling.
Okay.
I don't even know what to
Why
Google.
wasn't this
I just Googled Carl homosexual.
the day he throws you down, the day he grabs you, the day
Oh,
he
the
wanted
first
to leave
openly
the
gay
room,
NFL player
the
was
day
named
he
Carl.
insults
So
what he believes are insults to your family. Well, listen, that the last day you saw Travis. Last day.
Well, it was one of the
My
things
top
he
search
was
result came up
upstairs,
with.
going downstairs. He followed me all the way up to my car, just saying
Wait,
one mean thing
get
after
it
another,
right.
and then his tone changed to something.
Homosexual behavior in animals. Why? Why was that the first result?
Very friendly.
Okay.
Official friendly, and he said, "I have a great idea." And he said, "How about you move to Antarctica and never call me again?" And I said, "Mine is Antarctica, sure."
That's on my phone now.
And I was getting into the car, and after my leg got into the car, he slammed the door hard, and I started to drive away. So I thought we were not going to talk at that point. It was a very low point for me. Throughout the fall, I had been feeling suicidal, so I thought that was kind of the point.
She is
I decided I wanted
43.
to,
She's
go
my
through with that.
age.
I can
So,
fix you.
I called my friend Matt because he had guns, and I was gonna ask him if I could borrow one because I wanted to kill myself. And he could tell I don't know, he called a suicide hotline and had me call them, and he called my dad and my parents. And as I was
Yeah,
on the
you
phone
need,
with Matt, Travis began calling
gun
me again as I was
owners.
driving back home.
Somebody wants to
And,
borrow your gun.
I
Ask
wanted
some
to answer because
questions.
Travis always apologized after he had been.
Maria,
angry
we
with me
streamed this in my Discord a couple of months ago.
But sometimes he took a while to calm down, so it could just be more of his anger.
God damn it, Babu.
So I hung up anyway with Matt, and I answered the phone, and Travis was very sweet and very calm.
Would it
and
be a
he
cell
told me
stream
that He
otherwise?
was too harsh on me, and he felt bad, and I needed to help him make his bed. I had been there doing laundry and cleaning the house when that fight started, so I hadn't finished making the bed, and all the sheets were out of the dryer.
So he wanted you to get back to your duties as a maid, right?
Actually, just said that. Okay.
Is that right?
The implication was more, come help me make my bed so we can make up.
Make up meaning have sex?
Yes,
Did he request this French maid outfit again?
no.
You good now?
All good. Sorry.
So he makes this call, you begin to feel better. You go back over to his house?
Yes, I'm telling him no, but at the same time, I'm turning around in the turnabout that's in my neighborhood.
What's that?
I'm saying no at the same time that I'm actually doing it anyway. I'm going through the turnabout on the way to my house, but instead I go all the way through it and turn around.
Why'd you turn around,
Hey,
Jodi?
good morning, Granny.
He was being the nice person that I was, I guess, craving. Like, I felt like a writhing ant under a magnifying glass for the last 3 hours. It was a long fight, and now he had relented and he was being nice, and he was implying that his feelings would be hurt if I didn't come over. He was saying it very sweet, almost baby talk, but not quite. And so I came back to his house.
Did you have a sexual interaction with him after you came back to his house to make up?
Yes, we made the bed, and then, yes.
And then yes, what?
We had anal sex that night, but it wasn't like,
Please go on.
it was kind of loving. I mean, he said, "I love you," and he whispered those things in my ear while he was doing that. And
Aw, what a romantic.
I want to ask, there was an incident talked about earlier where you walked into Travis's house and Lisa Andrews was there. Do you remember hearing about that during this
Yes.
trial? Was that around this same time period when all these things were going on?
No.
yes, it was right before or after we were in New Mexico.
So So you get back from this trip in New Mexico, Exhibit 431. You're acting as a happy couple in New Mexico. How is it that you came to Travis's house the evening that Lisa Andrews saw you there?
Well, this might have been before New Mexico, but it was all around the same time. I had been hired at P.F. Chang's in the summer, and his roommate, John Hepworth, was always talking about how much he liked the honey chicken on their menu, was his favorite dish. And so one night, it was a Monday night, which would be family home evening in the church. I worked though. For short, it's called FHE. And I got off work early because it was Monday night and it was slow. And there was an extra honey chicken that was getting thrown away, so the chef said I could have it. So it was still fresh. It was in a to-go container.
Bangs
I
are
put it
so
into
bad. I
to-go
don't know
container. And I had taken food
what
home
she was
before,
trying to do.
and I usually offer to split it with my roommates. They never really wanted it. It was still early, so I knew.
So many details about nothing.
And so I wasn't going to call him, but I called John because he lives close by, and I said, "Do you want half of this honey chicken?" And he said yes because he liked it. And so I was
It's like
over
a
there.
pre-planned story she told Travis.
Because if you put it in the fridge, it gets real soggy. It's breaded and glazed. And so I headed over. Well, he said Travis wasn't home. I asked him, I said, "Is Travis home yet?" He said no. So I started driving over to his house, and I pulled into the driveway in the same place where I was going. And I always came and went in his house without knocking. It's just something I did, and a lot of friends always did. And so I walked into the house with the container of honey chicken in my hands, and I'm walking down. It's kind of a walkway with tile. There's a living room here, and as I was coming toward the kitchen, which is just beyond that, there's a wall just beyond that. I was going around the kitchen to get a plate for John. John was on the couch over here watching TV, and I came around the kitchen, and Travis was standing there with another girl. I didn't see who the girl was because I just saw hair, and he was standing in front of her. So
Salvador, are you
I
taking
was
notes?
mortified. I was like, oh my gosh. So I
This is what happens when you
turned
ask
and
a
walked
woman
right back
yes
out,
or no
straight out the
question.
front door, and got in my car and I left. And I was really embarrassed because I thought he wasn't home. And I started driving. I drove west down Elliott, and then I turned north on Signal Butte. And right as I turned north on Signal Butte, there was a car that came right up behind me with their high beams on, and they were right up on the tail end of my car.
And who was in that car?
Well, I didn't know at first. I thought it was somebody that had to go somewhere fast. So I was coming up on an LDS chapel that was on the left side of the street, and then across from the street from that was a turnout. So I assumed I'm just gonna drive a few more yards and then pull over in this turnout. But this car pulled over the double yellow line and sped up. And so I thought, wow, they're really in a hurry. And then pulled in front of me and braked really hard. And I almost hit the car. And then that's when my headlights hit the paint, and I could see it was purple and it was BMW. It was Travis's car. So he pulled in.
Oh
into
my
the turnout,
God.
And I assumed he wanted me to pull over because of that. So I pulled in behind him.
Such a long story.
Did he offer
It
explanation?
was like
for
painful.
what you had just
Did she
walked
take a breath?
After I asked, yeah.
During that discussion, did
Can
he
you pause it
admit
real
to
quick?
you that he was dating Lisa Andrews?
So the story is she got some food, claims she gave it to an ex-boyfriend of hers because Travis didn't want it. And then when she was taking the food over there, she got close to the LDS church, apparently, because that was important to the story. And then Travis sped past her and pulled out in front of her and slammed on the brakes. That's it. That's her story. I think something with honey chicken. Yeah, there was like
Yeah.
food left over, and she didn't
Okay,
want it to
so-
go to waste, and it couldn't sit in the fridge because it would get soggy because it's breaded. And then this was her rehearsed story that she told Travis when she got busted going over to someone else's house for a date or some bullshit like that.
But was the
But
chicken
that was just-
wasted then? Or did somebody eat it? What
Oh
happened?
no, maybe we'll get to that point.
Let's find out.
See if she. That should be the next question. So, what happened with the chicken?
Who it was. I didn't see who it was. He just said a girl from his ward was there, and she wanted to see his house, and he was just giving her a tour.
Did he invite you back to the home?
Not at that point, but he gave me a hug and he squeezed my butt and said, "You're coming over later tonight, right?" Something like that.
What did that mean to you? What were you
So he slams on the brakes in front of you, and that's all he says is "grab your ass and
Causes
coming
an
over tonight,
accident.
right,
If
baby?"
the state with Lisa Andrews, you were to come over to have sex with him. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah.
I know we need to know.
Now,
I'll
later
write
in
her and ask.
2007, You talk about how this relationship is going on and on and on. Are you still living in Mesa in early 2008?
Yes,
Are you having sexual intercourse with Mr. Alexander in 2008, early 2008?
yes, well,
Hopefully not the chicken.
yes, not vaginal,
Any
Not
clarification on
vaginal
that, Dan?
intercourse.
no.
Yeah, because that's a sin.
Was that, you'd had it before, was there a reason you weren't having it at that time?
Yes, well, the first time I was asleep, the second time was in August 2007, that was consensual. And I knew we had gone all the way, so obviously that was pretty black and white, that was not okay. So I confided in Rachel. I didn't want to tell her that we went all the way, but I said, I think Travis and I might have gone too far, even though I knew we'd gone too far. I wanted to get her advice. And she asked me how far we'd gone, so I thought oral sex was okay. So I threw that out there. I was like, well, we've had oral sex. And her jaw dropped onto the floor, and she freaked out and said, you have to go to your bishop right now. And I didn't know that. And she said, Travis has to go too. You need to do it right away, get right back on the right track, and go tell him right now and wear your seatbelt. You know, the implication being you don't want to get in a car accident and die before you repent. It was that serious to her. And so I didn't know that. So I got in the car and called Travis and went over there and tried.
So to make a long story short here, you didn't want to have vaginal sex because of the vow of chastity or the law of chastity, right?
Yes.
Did anything
Nice,
happen in
Stray.
January of 2008
Her honey chicken brings all the boys to the yard.
in relationship?
But if you
Was
eat
it the
she'll
chicken
kill
in
you.
the Murdaugh trial?
Yes.
What happened?
Objection, if we could have the foundation, if we could have the date and the time.
I'm asking what happened in January 2008. She can explain.
Council approach.
The chicken did not have a happy ending.
Murdaugh's dog killed it.
May I continue?
Oh.
Ms. Arias, this event would happen in January 2008. Before we go into the particulars of it, do you remember where it occurred?
Yes.
Where?
In his bedroom.
Do you remember the date that it occurred?
It was on a Monday and it was late January 2008. I think it was
I
around.
was gonna say she put it in her diary.
What did you see on the 21st or late
Oh,
January
I wonder if this
2008?
diary exists.
What happened on the 21st of January 2008?
I was thinking that, but well, I don't know about Arizona, but like some things you can't get a copy of because they can't like reproduce it, like posters or actual exhibits, like a diary. Because I tried to get Mark Jensen's day planner where he drew peens on it. And
Yeah.
they couldn't reproduce it. So
I'm
I don't
wondering
know.
if it even exists though. Like, was
Could
it
be.
produced in this trial? Because I
Oh.
have to imagine if they had it, they would have produced something.
Yeah.
Wait, where am I? Cindy Lou Hoot. Nick is down with a cold. The man flu, which is the worst kind of cold you can get. But also his internet was giving him problems, so he wasn't able to link to the stream. So it's kind of a historic event for all the wrong reasons. That Nick is not here, nor are we dual streaming. This is the first time. It's very disappointing, but that's okay. Nick's internet. I'm in Sweden too, and my internet's so bad that Salvador's actually streaming this video for us. But Salvador's here, and if you guys like his content, if you like, cameras knocking over and cats, and the fact that he helped us with the stream by getting the video up and running, a link to his channel is pinned at the top of the chat. So go ahead and give him a little subscribe. He deserves it.
Thank you.
Change the course of your relationship with Travis.
Objection, foundation, we have a time, morning, noon, afternoon.
She can
Check it out, Farrell.
Judge.
All right, I'll go.
I got off work. I was working at Mimi's Cafe at that point in Mesa. I got off work and came
Also,
to
the
his
fact that
house
she continues to jump
and
around
helped
jobs.
him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a red flag, guys. If there's a lady who can't hold down a job, run. She
Yeah.
can't hold down a job, but she's meticulous enough to have a diary or a journal. Run, because she's not the right type of particular. She's the wrong kind of particular.
Yeah, and in general, just avoid Mesa women. I mean, trust me, it doesn't end well.
Probably a good call. It's like Tampa women, from what I hear, right?
Yeah.
Avoid all women in Tampa.
Or Florida, actually. No offense.
He was loading boxes into the attic. He was just rearranging stuff, he said. So I was helping him. I was just handing them up to him. And we were hanging out for a while. He disappeared in the attic for a minute. So I was waiting for him. And then he kind of popped out and said boo and scared me and laughed about that. And then he came down the ladder and he handed me a little porcelain. It was a white porcelain angel that he had. And he handed it to me and called me an angel and gave it to me. And I thought that was sweet. And so
Oh, how sweet.
I went and put it next
Definitely
to me.
made all the boo-boos go
in
away.
his bedroom. And we hung out a little bit longer downstairs in his office. And then I was leaving. So I ran upstairs, got my purse, shut the bedroom door after I'd already said goodbye to him and I left. And then as I was driving back home, I realized I left the porcelain angel there. And Travis I knew he would, just knowing him, he would call me and make me feel guilty about it, or in a joking way, but in a way that was, I wouldn't live it down for a while.
So what did you do?
So I thought of getting it later, but because of that pattern, I turned around to go get it.
Yeah, Salvador's going to put
Called him
together
real quick
a
on his
Jodi
phone, he didn't answer.
Bang kill
Called him real
tour.
quick on his house phone, he didn't answer. I
She
hadn't been
lives
home
in
10
the
minutes, so
area.
I didn't think it was a big deal. I just went back there. I walked in and I ran upstairs and I went into his bedroom to grab it.
And what did you see when you got there?
I walked in and Travis was on the bed masturbating, and I got really embarrassed. Even though
How
we'd been
dare
there,
he.
like, more times than I could count. It was just kind of awkward walking in on him like that. And I was headed toward the dresser, but then I stopped and I was trying to think of something funny or witty to say, like, do you still need my help or something? And he started grabbing at something on the bed, and I realized they were papers. And as he was grabbing the papers, one kind of went sailing off the bed and it fell in that chaotic pattern that paper falls, and it landed face up near my feet, and it was a photograph.
What was in the photograph? What was the photograph of?
It was a picture of a little boy.
Jesus.
I don't think it was a picture of a little boy.
Could you
I
get
think it was a
first the
picture of
one
like
it was?
lady's ankles or something.
Oh, 5-ish, 5'6". I'm not a good judge of age.
I don't know.
Did you recognize the little boy?
No.
I mean, if he's trying to get her to wear, was there any evidence he actually tried to get her to wear boys' underwear?
No, there was no evidence of the actual underwear.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. I take that back.
I thought they.
I think we do actually have the underwear, but there's no other evidence that he apparently had a thing for little boys. The like zero evidence of that.
Yeah.
Nothing. But it was also kind of the trend at the time for women
Was it?
to wear. I think they even made them purposely for women to wear like Spider-Man underwear that looked like briefs, like a
Oh, okay.
man's briefs. So yeah. But I think there are actual underwear. I know there's underwear with Travis's name on them
Yeah.
that look kind of
Awful
homemade.
kerning.
But I think there was a photograph of the Spider-Man underwear or something.
Okay.
He was dressed in underwear, like briefs.
Yeah, Mama Source Rex calls it too.
Okay.
They were popular at the time for women to wear.
So
After
then
you
she's
saw
just
this,
using it as a. Okay.
What did you do?
Yeah.
I was frozen there for a minute. Well, maybe not a whole minute, but I didn't know how to react. It kind of seemed like one of those dreams where something is really off, but you just can't figure it out. And so I left the
agree.
picture there on the dresser,
Boy
and
shorts will always
and
be
they called my
on.
name, and I just ran. I didn't stay, and I got in my car and started driving home.
Now they're. I liked it for a while. They were
Called you
bathing
name or
suit
called
style
you?
too.
He called my name.
Okay.
He said, "Wait."
Not anymore.
He called my name.
So I'm
I
sorry,
can
you were
explain.
There's no photo of Spider-Man. Where did I see the photo?
From his home.
Well, I
Was
posted
it
some.
an email or something?
I felt nauseated.
I feel like there was an email maybe introduced or a text message or something
Yeah.
I
about
was trying to drive fast enough to get
Was
to,
it-
but I try not to pull over.
that has some credibility to it.
Home, and I was hitting the garage door opener about half a block away so that it would be open, and I pulled right into the garage and ran inside and threw up in the bathroom.
Okay, that's fake.
Did you speak? Did Travis make further attempts to call you after you saw what you saw?
Yes.
How soon?
No, because I remember those. Those
After
were
I
actual
got
ladies' panties, and
Yeah.
back out to my car to get my purse and my phone.
yeah.
And I saw that there were some missed calls from him. Like 4, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, all of this is ridiculous. Where are these photos now?
Why wasn't this?
He was unalived by surprise, right?
Yeah, the police would have
He
gone
didn't
through his
have
apartment.
time to clear out his internet
That's why I wasn't
searches
thinking
and
anything along
hide
those lines. At the time, I
photographs.
was confused and I was crying and I didn't really know what to make of all that. So I went for a drive. Before, when I didn't answer the phone, and when he called repeatedly, he would come over to the house because I didn't live far, and I didn't want to be at the house when he came over. I wasn't sure how to talk to him or what to say. So I left and I
Probably.
drove around for a while in Mesa, and then I ended up at the Temple Visitor Center, and I hung out in there for a little while. And I just was collecting my thoughts and not really meditating, but just trying to figure out what to do next and how to handle that.
Did
We
you
need a
get
cell stream where a woman takes him
Did
through
you
Victoria's
do it?
Secrets.
a decision as far as what to do next?
Well, I wanted to, I couldn't imagine like never talking to him again.
Why not?
That would just be, if we never spoke again after that point, I would feel unsettled, and I don't know. I wanted to let him explain at least. I went out and checked my phone again. My phone was turned off in the visitor center. So I went out and checked my voicemail, and there was that frantic voicemail from him finally, and there were more missed calls. And he said, just come over and talk to me and that kind of thing. And so there was something.
Well, again, Jodi, let me address the question. And perhaps it's difficult, but why would it be, you just, from what you told us, you saw him masturbating to the image of a child. Why would it have been a problem for you? Or why could you imagine not having any more contact with him after that point in time?
When I was thinking in the temple, I mean, I've heard in the past that usually people who have problems like that were hurt when they were children. And I kept thinking, what if he was hurt when he was a kid? And it made me angry to think of him as a kid and somebody violating him, and just really made me mad. And so I tried to mitigate it in my head in that way. And I wanted to talk to him and find out what was wrong with, like, what was going on with him. So.
Did you return his phone calls, or what happened next?
I called him back finally after a while, and we agreed to meet up. We were going to swap cars for a family home.
Gross. He's gotta have a handler though, Baker. He's not gonna be by himself. He's gotta
You
be
were
with
gonna
your lady.
swap cars for family
Yeah.
home evening, right?
Yes.
So what you
I
told
was
us?
thrown out of there.
So he could have your car, or you could have his?
Both. I mean, at the time I was driving his car, but he didn't want to drive my car to church with people. He wanted to take his own car.
So he was the one going to family home evening, right?
Yes.
Same day he got caught masturbating to images of children, he was going to family home evening, right?
Yes.
So you return to his home and you're going to trade cars. Do you just get your car and get out of there?
We never hooked up before family meeting. I had a migraine and I needed to just sleep, and I don't know, I woke up later in the evening and I went over to his house later that night.
Okay. You go to his house later that night. Did you talk with him?
Yes.
Do you ask him about what you saw?
I didn't really have to ask him. I just was silent and let him do the talking mostly.
What did he say?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a fantastical story. Like, I want to say this is day 16, right? Yeah, so day 14 or 15. Like, her story seemed more credible because it had less fantastical details.
Yeah.
She just told kind of a normal story. And I was like, okay, that I believe happened. But when she gets into these details, I don't believe her. And I'm not, we're not body language experts. We're not doing anything like that. But as an attorney, when you have your client on the stand or any witness on the stand, you're judging their credibility from your standpoint, obviously, because you only have your standpoint, but you're hoping the jury is kind of seeing the same thing. And this is,
Yeah.
I find her credible with less detail. Maybe it's because her detailed stories are so fantastical.
We're having this conversation you were having.
Oh, absolutely, Chloe.
with Mr.
He was
Alexander
definitely messing with her just to get some sex.
After you
Absolutely.
viewed his
Doesn't
masturbating
justify
to
the
a young
stabby
child.
stabby.
What was the
That's all I was going to say.
subject matter of the conversation?
Mostly about, he was explaining to me.
Without telling us what he said, what was he explaining to you?
Objection, hearsay, because if she's explaining and she's telling us what he said, she can talk about what the subject matter was and the effect, which is what we discussed.
I wonder if she's still Mormon.
After that conversation,
Maybe I could visit her and try to convert her to
did you
some
come
made
away
up
with the
church.
understanding that
Yeah,
Mr.
exactly,
Alexander
Dan. Like the
had a sexual
Honey and Chicken
interest
saga.
in children?
Yes.
That was like a full 5-minute story.
Did you come away with the understanding that it was boys and girls, or was it just one or the other?
Objection, hearsay, not getting into the substance, but they're just prefacing it by saying, is it your understanding?
Rephrase.
Did you believe him to have an interest in young boys?
Objection, hearsay.
Yes.
Did you believe him to have an interest in young girls?
I already knew he was interested in young girls, but they were like sexually mature girls, but minors.
Oh, we have pictures. Mama Source Rex put pictures in Discord for us.
This conversation,
Oh, you're in the waiting room? Jung should be able to let you into the rest. You go to the Jodi Arias channel.
he expressed, or did you come away with the understanding that you could help him with this problem?
That's the impression he gave me.
And what was your understanding of how you were to help him with this problem?
He preferred sex with women.
He what?
He preferred sex with women.
Why?
Made him feel normal, more normal.
Wait, Salvador, can you pause it real quick?
In this,
The way, see, like, I'm fascinated by the way people say things. Like Farrell, when she said, I don't think I could murder somebody in cold blood, which
Yeah.
means that she's not 100% certain that she wouldn't murder someone in cold blood. Just like Jodi said just a second ago, that Travis preferred sex with adult women or with women. It doesn't mean that the other option is out of the realm of possibilities. Is that what she's trying to say?
Yeah.
That's not how pedos work. Yeah, I mean, again, but preference is not the same as, I'll take either, but I prefer the woman. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird.
conversation, was there any discussion about why he wanted you
Make love to
to
women and I
wear
have sex with
boys'
men.
Spider-Man underwear?
Is that a Baker quote? I feel like that's a
That
Baker
was the
quote.
reason for it, apparently. That's what he did.
The reason being, if I understand you correctly, that he liked pretending that you were a young boy.
I didn't ask him what he was visualizing, but that's,
Objection, speculation.
Was that an
Your
Ice-T quote?
understanding of why he was doing it after the conversation, right?
yes.
Is this the last time you ever spoke with Travis Alexander?
No,
I don't know. Jung.
Did you leave?
Yeah, is it a Law and Order quote? Or what did he just say in his personal capacity?
Did you submit to a sexual interaction with Mr. Alexander after this discussion?
yes.
And what sort of interaction was that?
It was sex. It was anal sex.
Why, Jodi, were you willing to submit yourself to sexual interaction with Mr. Alexander, having seen and having heard everything you saw and heard that day?
Oh, I know this now. It's been
Oh,
going
How to
around the
describe it, it's
interwebs.
very embarrassing, but he seemed very ashamed with himself, and like he didn't want to be that way. It was something he struggled with, and that's not who he wanted to be. It's not who he wanted to be in the future, and he was trying to deal with it. And when he had sex with women, he felt like a normal heterosexual man, and that's what he wanted to be, and that's what he said.
Travis's
That's
brother,
what I
Jodi,
believed him to be.
or John.
And so when he had sex with women, he felt more normal, and it was preferable to his other deviant
I think our thumbnail says the Amber Heard
urges, I guess you could say.
or something like that.
So were you
It's
doing
very
this
true for this particular day.
to help him?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I still loved him.
Did you ever do anything else to try to help him?
Yes.
What was that?
Before I moved back to California, I gave him a pamphlet that I found. There was a stack of them that I found in a mall.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's Carl. You're right, Salvador.
And I picked up a few of them because it was about mental health services. I don't remember what the name of it was. It had an 800 number, and it also had a 602 number. And might have had
Call the
other numbers in
number.
the website. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it looked like they were services that were complimentary, or maybe not free, but cheap or affordable or something to that effect. I thought maybe he could just talk to some people. I thought it was
None.
confidential. And
Not during this
somebody he could
day.
talk to that would be able to counsel
Maybe
him,
during
that
the
had a
photo
degree
day.
in psychology or some kind of certification in mental health counseling.
Okay. So was this in January 2008 that you found this brochure?
No, it was closer to, it was somewhere in mid to late March. It was before I moved.
Okay. How did he react when you gave him this brochure or pamphlet?
He was upset. It led to an argument. We argued about several subjects that day.
When you say argument, was this verbal or was this physical?
It started off verbal and then it became physical.
Now,
I don't know. I feel like she deserves a good
you
slap.
mentioned him grabbing your wrists at conference. And now we're talking about this incident in March of 2008. Had he been physically abusive with you before March of 2008?
This incident was in April, and yes, he was physically abusive before that.
Let's talk about that then. This, after he grabbed you at the convention, when was the next time that he was physical with you?
It would have been that argument the night that I got up to leave twice, 3 times ultimately.
When he wouldn't let you leave the room, when he threw you down?
He pushed me down.
Okay. Was this incident in April then, when you gave him the pamphlet? Would this be the third instance of abuse, physical abuse?
The pamphlet came later. The third incident came the day after I walked in on him.
Okay. The day after you walked in on him, you mentioned that you had sex that night. Did you leave that night?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come to, or where did you see Mr. Alexander the next day?
I was getting ready to leave for California, and before I left, I wanted to see if he was okay. I figured if that were me, I'd want to go jump off a bridge. So I wanted to make sure that he was okay.
And you said before you leave to California, where were you going?
I think I was going, San Diego might have been a few weeks later. I was either going there or I was going back to Palm Desert. My neighbor still had some things of mine in her garage that I hadn't collected yet.
So what happened when you went over to check on Travis, I guess on the 22nd of January?
What happened when I went over there?
Yeah.
I went over there just to see how he was doing. We were talking in his bedroom, and he told me he needed to borrow, I think it was $200. But I didn't have it. I just lent him $6.99 and like a few days prior.
Why so
And,
specific?
I had just enough money to get to pay for the gas on my trip, maybe some food, and get back. All my credit cards at that point were shot from my house, so I didn't have anything else to draw from except my checking account. So I told him, I guess I didn't really snap at him because he had reacted very badly in the past when I snapped at him. So, but I did say, I just lent you $700. Oh, he called me selfish because I told him I didn't have it and that I was going to California. And that if I couldn't afford to lend him a few $100s, then maybe I shouldn't go to California. Maybe I should stay and pick up more shifts because that's not a lot of money. And if I don't have it, then that's a problem. A reflection on my own personal finances. So I thought, how can you call me selfish? I just lent you $700. And when I said that, he got angry and he crossed the room and he started shaking me and he said, I'm fucking sick of you. And he was screaming it real loud and some of his spit got in my face. And I mean, he wasn't spitting on me, but as he was talking. And he body slammed me on the floor at the foot of his bed.
What did he do after he slammed you on the floor at the foot of his bed?
Well, it startled me. It didn't hurt, but it startled me. And so I kind of let out an unexpected sound. I guess it could be best described as a yelp, sort of. Can't really explain it. It just was unexpected. So it startled me and then the impact and the sound came out. And I think he misinterpreted because he said, don't act like that hurts. He called me a bitch. He kicked me in the ribs. And that hurt for real. But he went to kick me again. And
I just have a hard time believing
to
any
block
of
his
this
foot, and
happened.
it clipped my hand and hit my finger.
And you said hit your finger?
Yes, my left hand.
So he kicks you once in the ribs, and he goes to kick you in the ribs again, and you try to stop him with your hand, and he kicks your finger, right?
Yes, on the second kick.
What happened after that second kick?
I screamed really loud. I think I yelled out my finger or my hand or something to that effect.
And what happened after you yelled that out?
He stormed out of the room and left, went downstairs.
And what did you do?
I rolled over and sat up and stood up and was holding my wrist. My finger was starting to swell up. I couldn't hear Travis. I didn't know what was going on. He was left very angry. I was in the room. The bedroom door was open. I kind of peeked around the bedroom door on the landing and looked down the stairs. Couldn't see anything. And then the doorbell rang. And so I was listening at the top of the stairs to see who it was. I don't know who it was, but whoever it was, he sent away. And so the front door shut, and then I heard him walking back on the tile. And then I leaned my head back in and I could hear him climb the stairs, and my anxiety shot through the roof. I didn't know what kind of mood he was in or how he was gonna react or what he was intending to do. And he came in and he seemed visibly more calm, and he could see that I was holding my wrist.
I just imagine a completely opposite scenario.
Was he yelling at you? Was he assaultive with you after he came back to the room?
No,
What was his demeanor like?
he was calmer, but when he first asked to see my hand, I kind of pulled back a little just as a reaction. And then he said, let me see it. But he said it kind of in a snappy, stern way.
Because it
So
didn't
I
happen.
didn't want to provoke
That's
him
why she
anymore, so
didn't
I
run.
just let him look at my hand.
And you say your hand, was there a particular part of your hand that was injured?
Yes, the ring finger on my left hand.
Which finger?
The ring finger.
Did you seek medical attention for this injury?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I didn't have medical insurance for one. Two, I was worried that like maybe the police would get involved if I went down there. Or if I guess I could have made up a story, but Travis made a splint for my finger at his house, and I just stayed with that. It was swell. We put ice on it, and he had like 2 or 3 little popsicle sticks that he broke so that they were the length of my finger, and he tied it onto my finger.
I think it also has to be, as you talked about, why you didn't get medical attention. Why didn't you call the police?
I would have never called the police on Travis.
Why not?
I couldn't imagine doing something like that.
Why not?
It would have felt like treachery. I wouldn't have betrayed him. I was loyal to him.
You just mentioned the word loyalty. Given all that you went through, what did you have to be loyal to?
Well, I looked at him as someone who had his own issues that he was struggling with, and I didn't see him as a bad person. I just saw him as somebody who was conflicted and had issues, just like everyone has issues. He just had different issues, and I wanted him to get help. That was one of the conditions we had made the day before. Of course, he didn't want me to say anything, and I promised him I wouldn't say anything as long as you get help, of course, and he said he would. And so I just couldn't imagine doing anything to betray him.
Was he supposed to like pray out the gate? What kind of help are you talking about?
Splint you put on your finger. Let me ask you this. Was the finger broken, as best you could tell?
I believe it was broken.
Do you still, is that injury still visible on you today?
I think so. It's crooked.
Could you hold up your hand for us so we can see?
Oh, this is
Hold it
interesting.
up, Jodi, if you can.
So her finger's apparently crooked from Travis. That was in her left hand.
What do you think about when you see that injury on your hand?
Checks and balances.
Sustained.
How do you feel when you see that injury on your hand?
Checks and balances.
Goes to state of mind and better women's judgment.
Oh, sidebar time. Yeah, so she's trying to claim this dramatic physical injury. Her finger is the proof of it. Apparently, that's all. They had a fight about him liking little boys, yet she has absolutely no proof of that. She didn't call the police, didn't do anything else. Remember, Travis was unalived, surprisingly, in April of 2028, without the opportunity to clear out his computer files, his internet searches, any desk drawers, or under the mattress, because you know they went through that thing thoroughly. They found none of this stuff that she's claiming exists, these photographs and all this stuff. So I find that hard to believe if he was currently doing it. Remember, her justification is not that she killed him back then when she first found out, but she killed him
May proceed.
9 months later. It's 9 months later. I was killing time while you were,
No, sorry.
whatever, Salvador, marinating.
Hold that finger up.
Were you soaking, Sal? Were you soaking?
Yeah. Yeah, doing the Povo push.
What-
Look at your finger.
I just want to know the name of your third person.
What does that remind you of?
It reminds me of the incident. I try not to think about it,
Try not to think about who.
about the incident,
Why not?
because it's unpleasant.
You're scared when you think about that day?
I don't go too far in my mind with it because it's not very pleasant. It's a very negative experience,
What?
and I wish I'd handled
Were
it.
you scared was the question, ma'am.
What do you mean by that? Wish you handled it differently.
Sometimes I regret not making a record of these things.
Yeah, I bet you
And-
do.
Sometimes I regret not getting medical help because at least it would have healed correctly. Maybe not. It feels arthritic. as
You
opposed
got to
to
explain it.
But
So there's no
you didn't want-
doctor's visit or anything to corroborate that when you got this broken finger.
Is it correct that
No.
you didn't want Travis to get in trouble? That's how you felt.
I definitely didn't want him to get in trouble, and I didn't want anyone to know that that happened between us.
Didn't want anyone to know that. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Because you were embarrassed. But he beat you up, right? Were you embarrassed that he beat you up?
I was more like ashamed.
Ashamed. You felt shame, right?
Rephrase.
the shame.
Well, straight.
was the reason that you didn't want anyone else to know, right?
Objection meeting.
Were you
It was
fairly
definitely a
happy?
Quentin Tarantino murder scene.
Did you want to shout it
Sure.
from the roof?
Definitely not.
Why not?
I just felt, I guess embarrassment is an accurate word,
What does
but
that
I
mean?
just felt it was stronger than embarrassment. I felt very ashamed, and I didn't want people to know that we had this kind of drama in our relationship at this level.
88 people watching, only 74 likes. If you're watching, why do you not like us?
I used to judge
You need to hit the
women
like button.
in situations like that.
That's completely irrelevant to why she didn't.
I used to think that women that were in situations like that it was partially, if not equally, their fault because they kept staying there. And so I went home and I thought, I was disgusted with myself. I felt like, great, now I'm one of those people. Like I was thinking that I got into the situation and here I am just staying, and that I had become that thing that I used to judge.
You realized at this point in time, you were one of those people. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes.
For reals, it was during her stabby murder of
25
Travis.
tomorrow morning, we will start promptly at 10:30. Please remember the admonition.
So-
Nice evening, you are excused.
At least that's the state's position. The state's position is that her finger got broken when she was stabby Travis to death. So she's claiming that it was done in an earlier time. That may or may not become important later on in this trial. Okay, so we got through the physical altercations. That's good. We needed to get that out of the way. Now we're going to go into the sexy time talk again, I believe. I haven't necessarily read ahead, but I believe day 17 might be the day, don't quote me on this, might be the day of the recorded phone sex session that they engaged in. For some reason, the defense plays this. I don't know why. It doesn't help their case. But, and in fact, the state, from what I understand, I haven't watched the trial, but I've read about it and I've looked at other things. The state uses it to emphasize essentially their position on this case. So maybe the defense knew that it was coming in, so they wanted to get ahead of it and play it early. But yeah, but anyway, so I think that's day 17, but I don't know where. And it might be day 18, but I think it's day 17. Yeah, so you guys are going to want to definitely make sure that you subscribe. Go over to Nick's channel too and subscribe there.
Yes.
I'm going to download this so he can repost this over there, but Nick Starow and I are usually dual streaming this, and due to some technical difficulties, that wasn't able to work out. But yes, phone sex. Yeah, these people are so vanilla, they engaged in phone sex. So,
As one does.
as one does, right? Salvador, have you engaged in such activities?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, good response. But yeah, awesome. So yeah, we're a little over 2 hours. That's good. We're done with day 16. Remember, anyone who's new here, like and subscribe. That's number
Please.
one. If you want more content from Jodi, become a member. And then you actually get access and notification about Salvador's streams and a bunch of other people's streams in my Discord. But you also get extra content. Nick says he hates phone sex every time. Yeah. We'll leave that right there, Nick. But yes, we get that. Yeah, thank you, Valhalla. So here's Nick's channel if you guys are new. Valhalla put it in the chat. Don't forget to go over there and subscribe. And you'll get a notification when he posts the same video. Give him a like or two, no more than 74. No more than 74 likes on his stream. And we'll be good.
Yep.
But yeah, every Tuesday and Saturday at noon Eastern, 6 p.m. Swedish time, which is funny because Salvador's in America and now I'm in Sweden. But we do Jodi Arias. And let's see. Oh, shoot. Before we do anything, Salvador, I got to redirect everyone to you.
Oh, thank you.
So Salvador's you're doing Jensen again, right?
Yeah. We're going to do some testimony and probably read 5 or so pages of his delightful manuscript.
Excellent. Oh yeah, you got his manuscript.
Yes.
His manifesto.
Yes.
If you will.
And he talks about his wife and early life and his thoughts.
Yeah, apparently his wife was going to be a surrogate for, am I right?
Her brother.
His wife was going to be
Yeah.
for her brother, but do it the El Natural way.
Yeah. No turkey baster.
So gross. I see memberships came in. Hang on a second. I am just trying to set up a redirect here. Okay. Save. Save. All right. So all of you will be over on Salvador's stream right after this ends. And then don't forget that at 6 p.m. Eastern, Chandler and I are covering Sarah Boone update. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern, I am streaming with Valhalla and Baker. We are doing our life, libations, Legos, and law stream, where essentially we BS for about 4, 5, 6, 10 hours, depending on how long it takes Valhalla to build a Lego set, as Baker and I finish our Lego sets in about a cool hour. But that's what that stream is. So don't forget to hit the like button. Not the like button, the subscribe button, so you get notifications of that. But we were gifted 5 memberships by Wesley. Awesome. So Poppy, Mike and M, Holly Monster, Lula, Stacy, and no, Stacy was the last one. And Stacy all received gifted memberships. So if you're a new member, don't forget to first and foremost check out our Discord, because that's where we have all the member content. And you can get at that link through the member tab on the my YouTubes. So check that out. You're organizing Legos as we speak. Yeah, so there's 2 methods to building Legos, right? The one, and I think there's a clear superior method just based on the first Lego stream. The one method, the one that I prefer, is you get out all the pieces and you sort them out by color and shape. You have all the right things organized. So then when it says, oh, I need a red 1x1 brick, you know, oh, there are all the red 1x1 bricks, you grab it. The other method is to do the bag method, which is where you open up the one bag and then you sort through everything as you need it and build. I prefer my method. I think it's faster. It takes a little bit of time setting up.
Yeah.
But you guys don't see behind all the behind the scenes stuff anyways. It's all set up by the time the stream starts, and then you guys just get to watch me build, not get frustrated looking for pieces.
Makes sense.
And yes, wholesome content in the Discord. That is true. Wholesome content. We do not have nudes of Jodi Arias. We do not have any other type of depravity. It's all wholesome, family-friendly content, really is what it is. Dave's method cheat? No. No, it's not cheating. It's a legitimate method of building Legos. But thank you all very much for joining. Salvador, awesome to have you on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
If you got to jump off, I don't know when your stream is starting, but
yeah,
everyone's going to go over there and wait for Salvador.
Yeah, so I'm going
to. And on that note, okay, all right. Well, we're ending anyways.
No worries.
But everyone in the chat, thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next one.
The State of Arizona versus Jodi Arias, verdict, count 1. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder.